All right, so we got the official scorecard of the Prague Pro, and it's kind of hard to read because this is a leak. Someone took a picture of it and sent it to someone else and made it public. So this isn't the exact scanned copy of it, but we can kind of see the names. We kind of know who placed where. And other than the top five, it's pretty hard to see the other names. It's just very blurry. I know Tim Budashan looks to have came in seventh there, and I can't make out the rest of the guys. James Hollingshead looked like he didn't even compete in the show at all. So anyways, you have Martin first, Samson second. We have Michael Krejci third. We have Keon fourth. And then we have the new guy, Juan Perdel from Spain, taking fifth. So Martin won prejudging and finals. He won both. It was close, though. He won prejudging by 1 point and won finals by 1 point. Michael Krejci was solid in third. Him and Keon were quite close during prejudging, but in finals, he made up a bit more ground, coming in a bit more tighter. Keon was in fourth the entire time, and he actually tied for fourth place during the prejudging with Juan. So he made up room in the finals, or maybe Juan got worse and looked worse, and he beat Juan by 1 point in the finals, which is why he came fourth. So pretty interesting scorecards, actually, because Martin beating Samson by 2 points, Keon beating the Juan guy by 1 point. In fact, you can make a case where Juan maybe should have beaten Keon. Now, Keon looked great. Keon definitely brought what he needed to bring. He just got out-muscled by a lot. I know people say that Keon and Martin are the same height. Martin is a bit taller than Keon. Martin looks to be around the 5'8", 5'9" range. Keon looks to be 5'5", 5'6". They're definitely not the same height. I would say Keon is more comparable to maybe a bit shorter than a Derek. So Keon is short. Keon looks big in 212 because for a 212 guy, he's one of the biggest. But if you put him in open, he's just tiny. He still has the great proportions. He still has the great conditioning. He still has some of the best presentation of all time. But Keon just had lost in the shuffle. Like when he was up there getting prejudged, he just looked significantly smaller than everyone else. So I'm not shocked that Keon placed where he placed. I know a lot of people had him winning. I didn't have Keon winning. But I also, thought he would have come in here and at least been top 2, top 3, honestly. Fourth is still really good, but it's not top 2, it's not top 3. Michael Krejci beat him. He's just a way bigger person, a bigger bodybuilder. And when you talk about open, yes, conditioning matters. Yes, proportions matter. Yes, but it's also a size game. You're not going to win open shows without having the size. And I think Martin having the combination of everything, that being conditioning, size, fullness, he had the best of everything. Samson, I think he did come in a bit bigger, but Martin as well came and improved from the Olympia. For Martin to make those level of improvements from the Olympia to Prague, when he was pretty damn good at the Olympia versus obviously Samson, he had so much more room to make up ground because he came in so freaking off, like so off. Samson could have done anything and put on 5 pounds and maybe look a bit bigger, a bit better with his fullness. So Samson was incredibly improved. But for as little margin as Martin had to make big improvements, Martin also came incredibly improved as well. And I think that was the biggest factor because Martin almost beat Samson at the Olympia. And that was Samson's worst look. Think about that. Martin almost came fourth. In fact, there's some cases to where I would say Martin did beat Samson. And he should have been fourth. But a really off Samson still beat a pretty on Martin because Martin was not off. He was on the Olympia. Now you come here and Samson is not only remarkably improved, but Martin made that much improvement to where he leapfrogged over an improved Samson when he lost to him at the Olympia. And the version of him that he lost at the Olympia was significantly worse by about 20 or 30%. My point is that what Martin pulled off is impressive, is quite impressive. I don't think people understand how impressive that was for him to beat Samson Dauda. And the scorecards reflect that. The scorecards had him winning clear in prejudging and clear in finals. Like it wasn't even a contest. Like honestly, the second Martin walked out and then we saw the fullness, the structure, the lines, and then we had the first call out to where he stood next to Samson. I mean, I'm sorry, but like from that point, like Martin just stood out. He stood out in every single pose. I mean, maybe I would give Samson maybe front lat. Martin doesn't have the width of Samson, so you can argue front lat and back lat spread. It's kind of it. Martin is pretty thick from the side. Martin has probably the best front double out of the entire lineup in terms of upper body, lower body conditioning, balance, symmetry. Keon has the best structure, but I think Keon's lower body compared to Martin's leaves a bit to be desired. So when you talk about the overall complete look, Martin has the best front double. In my opinion, has the best side shots. In my opinion, we're talking about overall everything, conditioning, balance, upstairs, downstairs. Martin has the best back double. And Martin has a pretty good set of abs. Like, he doesn't have his waist is pretty small, but he doesn't have the most, I guess, thick, blocky abs. But they're flat. They don't protrude. And he can pull a vacuum, or he can just pull a conventional pose in terms of no vacuum, just showing the abdominals, because he can do both. His abs are good enough to where he can flip-flop between vacuum versus non-vacuum, which is just flex abs. But very exciting. So I know Samson might actually be doing the Arnold because he does it every single year. And Samson a couple of years ago said that he would never skip an Arnold because he loves the Arnold. And I know Martin as well is probably going to be doing the Arnold too. So that's going to be very exciting. If we don't have Derek, which we probably will not, and we don't have Hottie, which we probably will not, and we don't have Andrew Jack, which Andrew might actually do the Arnold. Martin is the on-paper favorite to win. Now, I think Andrew, Hottie, and Derek, those guys are on another level. In terms of what the judges are looking for, honestly, I don't think Derek should be first. I think Derek should be third. I think the next person that Martin needs to get over should be Derek, but Derek won the Olympia. But in my head, Derek is the third best bodybuilder. I don't really care what people think. I didn't have Derek winning. I had Andrew looking way better than Derek. I had Hottie because Hottie's conditioning. I value conditioning more than just big, massive size, because anyone can be big, but not everyone can be big, hard, striated with the conditioning. Like, it's just not the easiest package to put together. And I think Hottie put that package together better than Derek. Anyways, I think Martin can beat a Derek. I think Martin will struggle with a Hottie. And I think he'll struggle with an Andrew Jack. But it's just three guys in front of Martin now. That's it. Like, Martin's not far. And the Olympia is a year away. Martin is younger than everyone else. That means he has a lot more room to grow. He hasn't been doing this as long as a Samson, as a Derek, as a Hottie, as an Andrew. So he has a lot more room to improve. Him having this almost like Phil Heath-ish structure, like his muscle bellies are kind of Phil Heath-esque. His conditioning is similar as well. He can take that physique a lot further. Like, if Martin can figure out how to develop that back a bit more and maybe bring in Phil Heath arms, it's done. His arms are already good, but his back can be thicker, can be bigger in the back double and the lat spread. So if Martin can bring that up, literally just his back alone, arms are fine. Arms are just a bonus. But if he can just bring up the back a bit more, because he's going to struggle with the back in terms of beating Derek, in my opinion, Hottie. And Andrew is just crazy from the front. Like, Andrew's front is so good that it compensates for the lack of him having good side poses. And I think Andrew's back poses this year was incredible. So Martin just needs to figure out how to be better than those other guys at those specific poses, mainly from the rear, going up against Derek and Hottie, and mainly from the front, going up against Andrew. From the side, he can compare to anyone. Like, from the side, good hamstring drop, good chest fullness, good arm size, good shoulders. Like I said, if I would add anything, bigger arms, because, comparing him to Phil has the best arms of all time. So kind of similar in the sense of, like, well, if Martin had bigger than life arms and larger than life arms, the Phil Heath comparison would be a bit more appropriate. Anyways, super excited for Martin. Super excited going into the 2026 season, and hopefully it's a good one. So let's look forward to the Arnold, guys. Quick video, hope you enjoy it. Make sure to comment down below. If you're not subscribed, make it a thing. Sub to the boy, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.